content of this podcast is produced for entertainment purposes only and is for informational and educational use. It does not constitute financial or investment advice. You should not make any financial decisions based on the information provided without consulting a qualified professional. All opinions expressed are solely those of the host and guest and do not reflect the views of any company or organization. The hosts and/or guests may currently own, have previously owned, or intend to own securities discussed in the content. The content produced here belongs to Daniel Andreev of 18 Degree Journal and cannot be reproduced or used without prior permission. We do not wish for this content to be used for AI training and do not give such permissions.
Memo and Fractional write-up, an update and apologies, plus a sneak peek into a cool and very cool tool and a tiny update on MLCI. Hey everyone, it's been a very long time, I know, and as much as I wish to write more often, in the last little while I had to prioritize various events and responsibilities orbiting around me. And to avoid falling behind, I needed to balance and drop some of my activities. Unfortunately, this means that my writing has been a sacrificial lamb of sorts that I had to drop in order to keep up. But no worries. Now that I'm finally on the other side, I can finally dedicate some time to developing and formalizing my ideas and inspirations. To be more transparent, I'm currently traveling in South America to unwind from the last little while. And for the first time in a while, I have a bit more time to dedicate to publishing my writing. I also want to apologize, I'm a little under the weather. So if you can't hear me quite well, hopefully it gets better in the next little while. As a first order of getting back into it, I wanted to first send a quick message to all of you and thank you for your patience and support, but also to show you one thing that has really been eating my time, as well as quick update on ID development, stock updates, and last work. So again, my apologies for being gone for so long, and thank you for your patience, so let's get into it. One thing that has really been eating a lot of my time is my venture and my strive in order to keep up with the rapid development and exploration of AI and the new tools available. This is coupled with studying academic literature on the drawbacks of AI and experimenting with the current limitation. As I alluded in my previous run memo, I'm currently stuck in this ever-growing feedback loop where those tools get better and better, and I integrate them more into my process, meaning I just use them more frequently. Allowing me to accomplish a lot more. However, more and more of my time just gets simply eaten away. So I'm ending working longer hours, producing more things, but it's a never-ending loop. Hopefully, this loop will break in a way that allows me to dedicate more time to writing and reflecting. Again, my apologies. And as available tools get better and more accessible, heck, I'm currently, recording this in a place where currently don't really have power. It comes in and out every couple of minutes. And I'm communicating with an offline model on my PC just chatting about a new industry I'm studying. And, a couple of years ago, I couldn't really believe that I could just do this, especially, fully offline. So as they get better, I believe it's crucial to constantly experiment and build and understand the current developments and how new tools can improve my workflows or approaches. Part of this is having a collection of micro projects that I can get my hands really dirty to gain a better understanding of limitations on how these tools can actually be used in day-to-day life. So some of the small projects I kind of tried to play around with them included some automated email reports that summarized all major developments in each sectors, micro application that would optimize travel routes and locations where to visit, an automated research tool that compiles spoken content, podcasts, and articles that I was currently researching into a nice little Kindle book and just sends it to me no matter where I am. And although these micro projects were a great deal of fun, they bore the seed for a much more ambitious project. The main project, which I'm developing with a very good friend of mine, and not only a good friend, but also an incredibly intelligent person and a joy to work with, is building a grand vision of a future tool that follows the philosophy of human-centric decision-making, aided by automated information processing gathering. And it's based on my research project back at university. The project there back then was a graphical tool that would graph and create networks to solve for relationships among various cybersecurity malicious actors. And we're hoping that some of those same principles can be ported over and to create the same ethos kind of relationships between companies, maybe between different footnotes, and help the human user to target where they should spend more of their time researching and understanding. So this project is a very long-term endeavor and extremely ambitious, with tremendous amount of data to structure, label, and complete. But I'm optimistic about its usefulness, and we are taking the time to build it properly, understanding that this is probably going to take years of effort. As part of this data collection steps and building out the logic, I've been embedded many micro applications in the final system to solve many problems I'm currently struggling with in investing. Not only is the goal here to solve these many problems that I desperately need help with, but also to validate and audit the data already being processed and manipulated. One of these first kind of micro projects that at least we had in the system was trying to solve for a better visual representation of data already consumed. So a prime example of this is 13F filings. For those not familiar, 13F filings are made quarterly by funds holding over $100 million in assets, in US assets. So they're filed with the SEC. There's, I believe, a 45 delay between their filings. And they're useful in gauging, market sentiment, prevailing market ideas, what some of the smart money is doing, going in and out of, and for studying some of the people I admire, what they do with their portfolios. There are already great providers such as Dataroma who do an excellent job at this, but for me, it's missing how I consume and visualize data. And also, I feel that numbers can be very deceiving, especially with the human brain. We all have the limitations always, so I wanted to build something that works better for me. So after developing and playing with this, I tried to make the next step and build something that I have been on the lookout for many, many, many years, but can never quite find. So that was kind of the first project, and kind of from that started building something else. And those who know me and have been regular readers of the 18 Degree Journal have noticed that I'm a huge fan of Warren Buffett, and investors inspired by his approach. And one of the hallmarks of how Buffett finds his deal is the A to Z book flipping through, where you literally flip through all the companies trying to identify anomalies. A to Z, because back in the day, you would have literally a book, and you would try to flip page by page, starting alphabetically, go from A to Z and trying to find anything that could be useful. Famously, Buffett flipped through the Moody's manuals, Value Line, as they made comments about in the shareholder letters, also the Japan Company Handbook. And now many critics argue that you can engineer quantitative search tools to find many of these companies that are hidden. But the counter argument is that many of these tools can yield abnormal financials, leading to many bargains being overlooked. First, personally, I think there's an added benefit. Although it's a big time commitment, there's the added benefit of trying to learn what kind of businesses exist out there, describing what normal numbers could look like, how it changes between different sectors, different countries. So I have always been trying to find these kind of manuals. And unfortunately, a lot of these physical copies these days are a lot of out of print. Most famously, the one I tried to get on most recently was the Japan Company Handbook. I even went to Japan to try to pick it up. Unfortunately, last year was the year they went fully digital, and I wasn't able to find a copy while I was there. So I've been trying to kind of take the inspiration between what they are and build something with the exact same ethos, but that could be run through their system. And it's already using a lot of the data that I need for building the rest of the system out anyway. So I decided not to limit myself to just one single country or a different sector. I decided to look at the whole globe, targeting market by market, and having a 2-page report for every company we are currently processing. The goal here is kind of having an application that allows to speed date really quickly within 1 or 2 minutes to tell you whether or not there is a point to spending more time researching about this company. Of course, the financials are not, again, everything's being built through a lot of these data pipelines that we've automated and using agents to validate, but could have errors. So one big part of me going through this is going to be to audit a lot of the system we build out, but I think it could have an added benefit for other viewers out there, such as yourselves. I'll probably record it on my YouTube, link below, and I will go A to Z as I go through these markets. Again, if you have any feedback, hit me. I want to improve it. I'm trying to find any issues with the data as we're going through this. Probably jump with probably the Baltics, maybe South Korea or Japan or the US. I haven't figured it out, but in the next couple of days, I'll see what makes most sense to start with. What's most complete? The US is most complete, but I might want to try it with a few other countries. I also need to check how well the translation works, though. might target one of the markets that an authorization was necessary just to make sure that everything gets labeled properly. Regardless, if you find any benefit in that, maybe an alternative to doom screwing, hopefully leave a comment or leave some feedback. I'll try to incorporate it and try to fix it. I find this tool something that I've been looking for, so I'm hoping that it will do what I need it to do. So other developments, continuation of my other ideas. So before my abrupt leave, I was following up and completing research on a few names. Most notable, the one I ended up publishing was Mount Logan Capital, so MLCI. Since the first write-up and the second write-up, the stock has been nothing but on a downward spiral. When I first started writing, I believe the stock was trading in the 8-ish, so 820, something like that. But now it's around 280 or so. So down a staggering amount. And I've been trying to develop a thesis to understand whether or not there is any value left in the business and whether the market is simply acting rationally or irrationally, because there's quite a lot of negative narratives around private equity at the moment, especially vehicles where you have one arm writing the insurance, the other arm dealing the insurance or originating the notes, and having your own balance sheet essentially buying it through subsidiaries. And whether or not there's issues with the credit that is being basically handed out is still an open question. So I had the fortune of speaking with a few experts in the field and even corresponding directly with some of the company's executives, which has been genuinely interesting. At the moment, I have not quite finished my research and I'm still sitting on the fence between a few ideas. But one conclusion I have reached is that before I started writing about the company, I probably should have gone straight to the too hard pile. That said, it has been a fascinating journey. I have gone through a mountain of filings, not only corporate but also statutory filings, really trying to understand the nuances of the industry, and have been developing a new framework to better understand the risks involved. For MLCI specifically, they have, in my opinion, still a very interesting proposition and a promising business model if it's all done correctly. The moment they are stuck in this forced loop where they must inject cash into their subsidiary, Ability Insurance, in order to remain above the regulatory cash buffer. The reason that they need injection again and again is that they're in this current process of diluting their exposure to long-term care liabilities and switching it to a MYGA book. Term will determine whether these are necessary, but the problem is when they write new MYGA insurance, they front load their expenses. So finder's fees, for example, or writing out the insurance policies all done at the start. So that hits the cash buffer. So that forces them essentially to constantly add cash as they're running these new business, and it takes a while for these businesses to become profitable. So again, very complex, very interesting. I'm assuming those are interested. I have read the other two articles, so I'll just drop a few other points that I found through my research, not all of them, of course. So the Medco blocks that are insured are mostly covered by reinsurance with collateral on the balance sheet, meaning Mount Logan holds cash and securities on their balance sheet to secure the amount owed in the audit and difficult times. Not 100% clear there, but from my understanding, they balance it out every month. So if there's no liabilities, they would just balance it out. Excuse me for a second. Yeah, so they balance this out monthly. So balance it out monthly. Some amount is audited at different times, so it's not really 100% clear how this balancing down, because sometimes the audits are later, sometimes they're before, so there's maybe more rebalancing than once. The block that is not covered is a legacy Guardian block, which was written in the 80s and 90s. The block averages for most of the blocks, from my understanding, is 84.5 years, so they're on the age where they're most costly to the insurer. This seems to the point where MLCI is just waiting for them to age out and get their flywheel going. From my understanding, the Guardian block, the ones from 80s and 90s, was pooled insurance that they inherited essentially through subsidiaries, and management is on top of this block because they don't have it reinsured, but they seem to be in control of it. Again, take that with a grain of salt. Other factors that have been more details during the research are the annuities. They reinsure range in 3, 7, and 10-year blocks with an average age right now of about 5 years, and the private credit arm lends at 3 to 5 year terms. So I'll try to save a few of the other factors for more comfortable publishing in part 3, and whether the hesitation or not turns to be a mistake, we will find out. But I do think it is a genuinely interesting company and a great writing opportunity. If you take management at their word, the business appears to be in great shape. But of course, and this is the joke, that American executives are always selling their business So how much of this conservatism versus optimism remains to be seen. So still developing this idea. Other items I've been trying to get to is that Nintendo, in my opinion, seems to be a very interesting company at the moment. And I may write a full write-up on it. A few small caps I cannot quite get my arms around yet. And some others I'm still working through the latest final transcripts, at least those that have transcripts. So a few days developing in the background. Financial markets currently are extremely entertaining, and they always leave for a space of curiosity. So I've also pushed back publishing my annual report for this year for, we'll call it 1.5 years instead of the 1. I'm going to try to finish it sometimes during this trip. For those waiting for guest interviews, unfortunately at the moment I'm a bit on a roadblock streak, and I'm trying to grab a few guests to come here next little while. And again, thank you all genuinely for the patience you have shown and taken time and given me the time needed to get back into this, and for the ongoing support. I will try to be a little more consistent now that I have more breathing room. Hopefully you enjoyed this ride. So until next time, cheers, Daniel. 1 Degree Journal. Oh.